The War Council of the Zephyrian Empire convened in their most sacred chamber, where holographic displays showed star charts spanning 3 galactic arms. Fleet Admiral Kefler, whose tactical brilliance had conquered 47 star systems, stood before the assembled commanders with his 4 arms folded in contemplation. "The humans," he began, his voice carrying the weight of 2 centuries of military experience, "have agreed to our proposal for a strategic simulation. Winner takes the disputed Kepler sectors." The council murmured approval. It was an elegant solution rather than waste millions of lives in actual warfare. Both species would engage in the most complex strategic simulation ever devised. The Zephyrians had spent the last 300 years perfecting their military academies, where each officer trained for decades in multidimensional warfare, resource management, and tactical prediction algorithms. Commander Zilara, youngest member of the council at merely 80 years old, raised a concerned tentacle. "What do we know of human strategic capabilities?" "Primitive," Keffer replied dismissively. "Their species has only been spacefaring for 2 centuries. Their longest military conflicts lasted mere decades. How could they possibly match our institutional knowledge?" The simulation chamber was a marvel of Zephyrian engineering, a room-sized holographic projector, capable of rendering entire star systems in perfect detail. When the human representative arrived, the Zephyrians were surprised by his casual appearance. The human wore simple clothes and carried a worn backpack filled with peculiar items, colorful polyhedral dice, notebooks covered in illegible scrawling, and what appeared to be miniature figurines. "I'm Jake Martinez," the human said, extending his hand in the primitive human greeting gesture. "Thanks for setting this up. Haven't had a good campaign in weeks." Keffer accepted the handshake with one of his 4 hands, noting the humans. "Relaxed demeanor. I'm Fleet Admiral Keffer." "Are you prepared to begin the strategic simulation?" Jake grinned. "Oh man, you have no idea how ready I am. I've been running games like this every Tuesday night for 15 years. My group back home calls me a sadistic DM, but hey, that's what makes it fun, right?" The Zephyrians exchanged confused glances. DM? Games? This human seemed to be treating their sacred art of warfare as some form of entertainment. The simulation began with both sides commanding fleets of equal size and resources across a contested region of space. The Zephyrians immediately deployed their time-tested strategies textbook formations that had been refined over centuries. With perfect mathematical spacing and optimal resource allocation, Jake studied the holographic display for 30 seconds, absently rolling a 20-sided die between his fingers. "Okay, cool setup. Very symmetrical. I like it." He paused, then grinned. "Time to get weird." What happened next defied every principle of strategic doctrine the Zephyrians had ever studied. Jake split his fleet into dozens of tiny, seemingly random formations. Some ships were sent on what appeared to be suicide missions into asteroid fields. Others began broadcasting confusing signals across multiple frequencies. A significant portion of his forces simply stopped moving entirely, powering down to minimal energy signatures. "What is he doing?" whispered Commander Zilara. Keffer's tactical algorithms ran constantly, trying to predict the human's next move, but every projection showed the human's strategy leading to inevitable defeat. He's either incompetent or ... or what? Or he's operating under principles we don't understand. Jake's seemingly suicidal asteroid-bound ships weren't destroyed. They were using the asteroid fields as cover, slowly mining resources while remaining hidden. His broadcasting ships weren't giving away positions. They were creating false signatures and phantom fleets. His powered-down vessels weren't inactive. They were lying in wait at carefully chosen ambush points. But the true genius revealed itself when the Zephyrians moved to exploit what they perceived as Jake's scattered, weakened forces. "Oh, you're going for the classic pincer movement," Jake said, noting their troop movements. "Yeah, my buddy Rick tried that against my Cobalt army last month. Didn't work out great for him either." The humans' seemingly random formations suddenly revealed their purpose. Every Zephyrian advance found itself walking into carefully prepared traps. Ships that had appeared to be mining asteroids emerged as perfectly positioned ambush fleets. The phantom signals had drawn Zephyrian forces away from their real objectives and into kill zones. Most devastating of all, Jake's inactive ships powered up simultaneously across the battlefield, cutting off retreat routes and supply lines with surgical precision. Impossible, Kefla muttered, watching his perfectly ordered battle lines collapse into chaos. These tactics, they make no mathematical sense. How did he predict our movements? Jake overheard him. Oh, that's easy. You guys fight like my friend Dave when he's playing a paladin. Very honorable, very by the book, very predictable. I've been dealing with lawful good strategic thinking for years. The trick is to think like a chaotic neutral rogue with attention, deficit disorder, and a grudge against authority. Within 6 hours, the Zephyrian fleet was in full retreat. Their centuries of military doctrine had been completely outmaneuvered by what the human casually referred to as basic dungeon master tricks. As the simulation ended, Keffer approached Jake with something approaching reverence. Your strategic capabilities are unprecedented. How long have your people been studying warfare at this level? Jake packed his dice into his bag, chuckling. Warfare? Dude, this isn't warfare. This is Tuesday night D&D. I've been running tabletop campaigns since I was 12. You pick up a few tricks when you're trying to challenge a party of creative players every week for 15 years. Tabletop campaigns? Yeah. You know, role-playing games. Dungeons and Dragons, Warhammer, Shadowrun. My regular group includes a programmer who thinks like a computer, a lawyer who argues with every rule, a marine who actually knows tactics, and a theater major who gets way too into character. If you can keep those four entertained and challenged every week, commanding a space fleet is actually pretty relaxing. The Zephyrians stared in stunned silence as the implication sank in. Their opponent hadn't been a military genius trained in the art of warfare. He was simply a human who spent his leisure time creating complex scenarios for his friends' entertainment. Your entire species, Keffer said slowly, trains for strategic thinking as recreation? Pretty much, Jake replied. I mean, not everyone plays tabletop games, but between video games, sports, puzzles, and just general problem solving for fun yeah, we're kind of always working our brains. It's what we do when we're bored. As Jake left the simulation chamber, he called back over his shoulder, Hey, if you ever want to join our campaign, we meet Tuesday nights. Fair warning though, next week we're starting a new adventure, and I've got this really nasty dungeon plan. It's going to be epic. The Zephyrian War Council sat in contemplative silence long after the human had departed. They had just been defeated by a species that treated complex strategic thinking as a hobby, something they did for fun on weeknight evenings. Commander Zilara finally broke the silence. Perhaps we should reconsider our approach to the Kepler sectors. Keffer nodded slowly. Indeed, and perhaps we should ask them about these Tuesday night sessions. The Kepler sectors were ceded to humanity the following week. 3 months later, Fleet Admiral Keffer could be found every Tuesday evening in a small coffee shop on Luna Station, rolling dice and arguing about spell components with Jake's regular gaming group. He was surprisingly good at playing chaotic neutral rogues.